until you change the color of your team.
Yeah, yes.
Is that No.
Yeah, Frontier.
Frontier.
Which they're honestly, I haven't. None of them are like. They're all really nice people.
Yeah.
Live?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all really nice people. It's just tough because we got our kids.
They're really nice people, but they shouldn't be racing in the B pack. I'm not lying. It's I don't care if this is live. We're at the point now where it's like, I remember when I was first asking to race in the B group, and they said, well, if you start kicking ass, we're going to not let you race in the B group. Well, there are 4 or 5 people in the B group who are absolutely crushing it and kicking ass. And the rest of Roger said it best. He said the race, there was an acceleration in the first lap, and he says I was okay to go with them, but the rest of the B pack was gone. That was their night. It was over. And it's like, at what point do you say, hey guys, you're too fast?
Are they cat threes?
Yeah, they're like 3. I think they're all 4s.
Are they?
Yeah.
Well, strong cat 4s. They do need to be there, I guess, technically.
Yeah.
They're strong cat 4s.
But if they're doing well in the A's,
and
then they jump into the B's and just demoralize everybody, it's like, okay, I understand you're coming from a long way away, but we're all paying too.
Yeah.
And for the guys who are getting their asses handed to them, I'm not saying, I would have beat them. I'm not saying I would have gotten dropped, but it's like, come on, what's going on? Stick to your rules. Just because the rules are different people doesn't mean, So anyway, there's my first soapbox, and we haven't even started the show.
Wow. Let's get into it.
Yeah. That's the part I'll edit out, but it's on the live. So it's the benefit of listening to the show live that gives you this green room kind of chat. Yeah. Even the whole bar screen. That's loud.
By the way, you're still a little nasal.
I am, and I can feel it right now. As my ire gets up, I tend to turn into
because you're tired.
RFK Jr.
Yeah.
Fuck vaccines. Fuck them. Can I show you this bear's head I have on the top of my car? Okay, sorry. No political. It's time to play bikes. Here's my rhyme for the week. The weekend was dirty. 24 hours of racing we did. Oh, did I mention that David was beaten by a kid? Jackson and Pat on the mic with Sam and David racing the whole night through. Well, they all finished with nothing bibs on, so we all simply went, ew. Because it was.
Yeah, it was rough.
They did their final victory lap with just bibs on.
That's not good for anybody.
Bike racers aren't pretty.
No.
Yeah. We're just kind of gone.
Alabaster skin.
Pasty. Yeah, it was an ugly thing. Welcome to episode 480, the longest standing podcast. Did you guys get that right? 480 episodes. A longest standing podcast in the sport of cycling. The one and only Packfiller Cycling Podcast. Think of us as a post-ride beer with several friends and one asshole. I am potentially that asshole. And the numbers are down to see who could be the asshole for the evening. We're down to the OG3. Let's meet tonight's characters with our scratch prologue. How many people have seen you as an adult cry? And how open are you to showing your emotions? Watching a Kodak commercial where a father's giving his bride away and you just burst into tears. How many people have seen that side of you? So there we go. First and foremost, my introduction is he's healing? ? Mr. Paul Main.
Well, most of it, but there's one section of my body is like not responding as well.
Really?
As I'd like, yeah.
It's your back.
Yeah, the back or ribs or whatever it is. So
yeah.
Seeing a doctor tomorrow.
Oh, God.
Hopefully we'll do.
Do we want to track down the guy who cut you off and get some insurance money out of him now? We could all be riding time Cylons before you know it.
If you would have seen his face, he felt so bad. That's all.
Yeah.
Had he been an ass about it, then
fuck him.
Yeah, let's chop his head off. So I win the asshole?
Yeah. I
got to work harder.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. How many people have seen you cry as an adult, Paul?
I couldn't tell you. My family has a tendency to get emotional pretty easy.
Yeah.
And I guess funerals don't count since I lost my brother. I don't think anybody who knew my brother had a dry eye when they found out. Knew him like we did thing. But there was one, my brother-in-law is a singer-songwriter type guy. And he wrote a song called Dear Emma. That was about this guy who went to Iraq. I'm not going to get through it.
Oh God!
But it's a very emotional song. You can find it on Spotify, and his name is Tom Kendall.
Okay.
Dear Emma. But it was this letter. Now everybody sees me crying now.
Yeah, the whole world. You got the camera on him. Yeah. Now we just.
So he went to war, and he says, if you get this letter.
Oh man.
And he wrote a song on that. So.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was pretty emotional, as you can see.
Yeah.
So
okay,
I got to add more people on that list.
Yeah. It brings all of our listeners have all now seen you. Okay, so you're open to showing it. You're not one of those guys.
I try
who
not
sucks
to
it
hide it. I mean, there's not too many movies. Like I remember people crying at, and you and your wife, and I think the Bolger Schmitz.
Yeah.
We called, CP and his wife were there, and we saw Titanic.
Oh.
And people were like crying. It's like, oh, it did not.
I don't think I cried at Titanic.
Michelle did.
She did?
Yeah.
Oh, she's weak.
Yeah.
Hopefully she's not upstairs
It was a long
watching
time
the
ago,
show.
by the way.
Yeah, it was. It was a very long time ago. Because I was thinking you were saying we all went to see, and I was like going, we went to see the Full Monty, and I didn't cry at the Full Monty.
With tears of laughter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There we go. Next off on introductions, he's the only guy I know who can pull off denim shorts, Mr. Jackson Bulger.
Thanks. I got them on right now.
I didn't expect you to wear them in here now, too. Today. Those different ones you had at the race, though.
They're the same ones.
Really?
I only have one pair.
Oh.
Yeah.
I got the maker.
Abercrombie and Fitch.
Oh.
Yeah. Abercrombie's having a moment right now.
Are they really?
They are, yeah. They make really cool clothes. Actually, my shirt is from Abercrombie as well.
I always used to laugh at the fact that you'd walk into an Abercrombie and all of their photos would be of people without clothes on.
Yeah.
See, it's way better now.
Yeah.
They shifted from that really smelly, really dark, Axe naked room. Yeah.
That sounds like P. Diddy's house.
Yeah. The inspiration for P. Diddy.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I'm going to build a house of Abercrombie and Fitch.
Naked room.
But the Hollisters and the Abercrombies now, they're way better.
They are?
Yeah, way
okay.
better. So
I don't shop for clothes in stores anymore.
I love to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know. I mean, that's why I meant that. I meant that as a compliment.
No, I didn't take
intro.
it as a negative. Yeah. Not a lot of people wearing denim shorts, but they're coming back.
They
really are. Yeah.
Doer, our old buddies.
Yeah.
They have some denim shorts I'm going to purchase.
Do they?
Yeah.
Doer, I will happily plug them again. When
Yeah.
they sent us those pants, they were really nice.
I still
Really
wear them
good
to this day. I have 3 pair, and I love them.
Yeah. They're great stuff. Thick. I mean, bomb-proof.
Yeah.
On with Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson, talk to me about how many people you've let see you cry.
I mean, I cried at my wedding, so that was a lot of people. That was 100-ish, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I definitely cry at movies.
In the theater or at home or both?
It doesn't matter.
Really?
Yeah.
I always fight it in the theaters. Walk out of the theater, I'm just like, I didn't blink for the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, after a while, I try to, but if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. When my wife and I went to see The Wild Robot, which if you haven't seen it, it's a very
still haven't seen it, but yeah,
it's a really good movie. It's not sad. It's just it's very touching.
Yeah.
I cried through the whole thing.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm open with it to a point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Me, I am exhausted from not riding my bike at all. I'm Pat Bulger, and my wife and immediate family have all definitely seen me cry. I'm okay with it, but I tend to shut it off in public moments. I don't know why. Yeah. Like when my sister passed away, it took me forever to cry. I don't know why. It was just I don't know. Maybe it's this old-fashioned macho bullshit, but I remember I was always very sad, but no point did I actually cry. The only time I ever broke up, just completely sobbed, was when a complete stranger, not a stranger, a person that I really didn't know very well, came up and just gave me a hug. And, usually it's one of those hugs that you give a quick hug, and this person didn't let go. And it was almost kind of cheesy movie moment where I was just like, okay, you can. It was one of those moments. It was just
I find it so interesting, though, how the human body reacts emotionally sometimes to, just off the cuff random moments like that.
Yeah.
how it just like triggers something.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating.
I tear up watching fucking Survivor. I mean, I I'll be watching TV and it's, guys talking about his family life or something like that. And I'll be just like, and I'll look over at my wife to make sure she's feeling it too. Because if not, I'm not gonna tell.
I didn't tell anybody this, but if you're a Survivor watcher, and by the way, don't give away the ending.
Okay.
But if when the current season, when the girl was having like an episode, and like she went to Joe, I had a real. I was like, hold it in.
I think I was bawling at that.
By that.
Yeah. It's okay. So we're all emotional people.
Yeah.
We'll let it get away from us all the time. Yeah. Gentlemen, now the 3-day weekend has arrived and gone, we can pretty much just say that summer season is here. So how's everybody's cycling life? We know Paul's answer.
0.
Move
on.
Is there do you have an ETA at all?
I have no idea.
So?
I can't ride a bike right now.
Oh God.
Yeah, I can't pull on
the
bars. I suppose if I got on the trainer, I could probably sit there for a while, but that's about it. But
you're saying it's a rotation.
Yeah, there's a certain position that I can put my right arm at that it hits.
Just pow.
So, yeah.
And it's a sharp.
And I can't sleep because there's only like 2 positions. So in the middle of the night, you roll over and so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I slept really well last night, so maybe that's on the mend. But that's my wife goes, "Will you take some ibuprofen?" Well, okay.
Yeah.
So listen to the nurse.
I've been so terrified of ibuprofen. This weekend was the first time I've taken ibuprofen in probably 8 months because of David.
It's not good stuff.
Telling me that it's bad.
Yeah. It's it's one of those moderation things.
Yeah.
My shoulder was so bad this weekend that I couldn't lift it. I couldn't do this. I'm holding it out to my left. I couldn't hold it out. And I was just like, fine, give me those pills, man. Just, give me the red pills. I'll dope up. Let's just shoot me up with the EPO. Let's rock.
I mean, I told you a story about how like I had a soccer teammate who was taking 8 one day.
Yeah.
And then I said, maybe you shouldn't take those, man. And he goes, shut up, Bulger.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Maybe your emotional issues are tied to your drug addiction.
Ibuprofen causes rage bursts.
But I feel like that is a scenario that's bad. But like if you take it like every once in a while, you're not going to die.
And even the prescription, like Renee said, that 600 milligrams was kind of like standard. They've dropped that down to 400, even on casual use. So
really,
that's 800. Usually they're 200 milligram. That guy was munching on that stuff. It's gonna tear a hole in his stomach. It's not good.
No.
Shit. So Jackson, how's your cycling life been?
It's been pretty good. Yeah. Yesterday, I went out and I just rode. I didn't ride hard because this week is lead into a race.
Sure.
And I think that's what I'll do all week. I think tomorrow I will give like some more punchy efforts. Because yesterday I did a little bit more long range stuff, but yeah, it's been really good so far.
Good,
just keeping really consistent. 4 to 5 rides a week. So
God, you're nailing it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, I was doing so well until about 4 weeks ago, and then shit just fell apart. Like first weekend of May, I've had such a hard time, and it's. I had a performance week, and then we went to Bloom, and then after that, I got COVID, and COVID's been taking a while to go away. So you could probably still hear my voice is still a little, and it's just crawling out the door. But and then with the 24-hour race this past weekend, that took my Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday away. So I couldn't get anything there. And I'm going to admit that I'm a little apprehensive in terms of this weekend. I'm doing the road race this weekend, but with 3-4 weeks basically off the bike, I'm a little nervous. But what do you do? Everything was so good.
You just do it, yeah.
My Strava little graph of progress was like so high, and now it's really low. And I need the graph to go up. I need Strava to lie to me. Is what I need. It's like, Pat, you're a good guy,
like a politician.
Yeah. Everything's gonna be fine. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, eggs are $3. And speaking of which, the 4th annual 24 Hours of Riverside occurred this past weekend, and I do have to mention it, even though two of the guys who raced it this weekend aren't here right now. The Waples boys played along. Jackson and I were on the mic and running the show behind the scenes. Great weekend, perfect weather, and from what I could tell, a lot of happy people afterwards. Anything to note, Jackson? Did you get any feedback or anything like that from anybody while I was running around acting like a dipshit?
I mean, everybody seemed pretty happy.
Yeah.
Especially, I've said this so many times that it probably becomes annoying, but the weather this weekend really, beyond the quality of the event, made the weekend, I feel like. And so it was just a great time. Everybody seemed really happy. And yeah, it was a quality time.
It's, I had a lot of people saying, "Oh my God, how much this must take to put on," and all that kind of stuff. And I co-race direct with a good friend of mine. His name is Eric Ewing, and he and I put on this thing. We kind of picked it up from the ashes after COVID and started running with it. And it's I don't know. I finish exhausted. I'm always exhausted after those 5 days, and then we do meet and do plan, and obviously do a whole bunch of things leading up to it. Yeah, and I just, it's something that I really truly enjoy. People ask me, "Are you mad that you're not racing?" And I'm like, this one I think I'm okay. And but there is some things that I really want to work on with the event. And by the way, if you're listening to the show and there are some things that, don't be an asshole, but if there are some things that could be improved upon the event, I would love to hear those types of things. But I do want to work on marketing for the event. Our numbers have been consistent ever since we kind of kicked it back up 4 years ago, but they haven't grown like I think the race and the experience should grow. And I know word of mouth is a huge part of it, but and this is kind of where I wanted to bump it to you guys for a little bit, is how do you guys find out about races? I mean, what are the methods and platforms? I was on Facebook earlier today and I saw one. It was like a Leavenworth mountain bike weekend, and I had no idea about it, but that social media link popped into my face. How do you guys discover races that are going on of not outside your norm, the RC3s, the things like that?
See, this is what's so tough for me because I'm not really looking around, and I think that's what also can make social media so hard is it's catered ads. Yeah. So like what you interact with, you're going to experience those type of ads. Yeah. And so for me, I think it's usually it is genuinely word of mouth. I find it out through Paul, or I find it out through really just Paul, honestly. that is my source. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's tough to find out about stuff unless you're really, on that radar. Yeah.
I mean, like we were talking earlier about that Montana weekend that we had all gone to, or EPO that weekend. I can't remember how I found out about him.
Ryan, didn't he reach out to you?
I don't think he did. Oh. I think we found the race before he reached out. I mean, if you're listening to this and I'm wrong, it won't be the first time.
Yeah.
Paul, how do you find out? How do you find these races?
Because that's what I do. I mean, for me, it's because I've mentioned 100 times, I ride bikes so I can race. Yeah. And so that's what, as soon as Bike Reg has, I follow it, like at least I'm on it twice a week.
So you go to Bike Reg?
Bike Reg. Okay. That's the other stuff. And there's other things that slide through. I don't think that Missoula race was on Bike Reg.
No. It wasn't on anybody's.
Waples found that one. Yeah, in the belly of the beast, they found that one. Yeah. But that's what, to me, that's what I've always done. WSBA for us in the state of Washington, and they have connections to Oregon. And I became a OBRA member because I used to do the Gorge Roubaix. Yeah. And they brought that back this year, but I couldn't do it. But still, nevertheless, that's the stuff I try. I always have emails because that's important to me. That's what I do. Yeah. But, that's the best way to go about it. I mean, they even have on Bike Reg, they have our training series on there. They have, the Seattle's, Seward Park, and then there's, stuff like that. Yeah. So,
I mean, and I can't remember how much we spent this year, but we paid for posters, and we put posters up in coffee shops and bike shops. I don't know about the effectiveness of that.
And it's too local
as a method. Yeah, it's only going to attract locals. Unless you get every single bike shop in the, West Coast's address and just start mailing shit out. But there's no guarantee they're going to go like, oh, okay, let's put up a poster for, they're probably going to just toss it.
Well, I wonder too if, because this idea just popped into my head. I wonder if, say, at a Tour de Bloom weekend, you get in touch with Ace and say, could you make like a Preem that, or a free, not free, but reduced price or free, whatever you prefer, registration, or advertise it at the race.
Yeah.
Like you're going around and genuinely like saying like, hey, this is 24-hour race in Spokane, Washington, just a 3-hour drive from here,
Yeah. Because there are the ones like there are trade shows you can go to, outdoor trade shows and stuff like that, but that's all local again. If you want to get,
I feel like you got to go to the racers themselves. Which is so tough because where do you find all the racers? But
Well, I think you nailed it on the head. Tour de Bloom drink. That is a big one, and Ace is very, very involved on promoting other races. If you friend him on Facebook or even Instagram, he's always saying, "Hey, Ravensdale is having state champs. Go down to Tucson, the stage race. We'll be down there. Say hi to me." Blah. That guy plugs a lot. He plugged the Grand Fondos. Was it Bike and Brews?
Yeah. So you just piggyback on those kinds of things.
I think that's important to get a little bit because that's hitting a different network of people too. So.
It sounds annoying, but networking.
No, it's exactly. I keep thinking that, is a trip to Sea Otter worth it? But I doubt it would be, unless you had something that, and I think this comes into it eventually, a prize money, a purse, something like that, where you can attract some people who are going to come for that.
But if you go down to Sea Otter, a guy who works for a big bike company that goes to Sea Otter every year.
Yeah,
smallest be a poster in their booth.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I beg that kind of stuff. It's a cool weekend to go. It's a cool time to go watch bike racing. By the way, I've been there once.
That's a bike show now. It's not. Yeah. They used to have Interbike.
Yeah.
And I went there when I was in the bike industry many times.
Yeah.
But that's all gone. No one does that. And so all the manufacturers and everything in this big group is all at Sea Otter.
Yeah.
That's the show.
Shit, even reach out to Levi.
Yeah.
What's he going to say?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay. Yeah. I guess you said no. That's okay. Yeah, because I think the format, 24-hour racing took on its own life in the early 2000s. It was huge. And it kind of fell by the wayside, but I see it slowly starting to make its comeback, especially in terms of the style, the format, its accessibility. It's not something, it's almost kind of Fondo-ish in the fact that you're racing against the team in front of you, but you're always still racing. You're not dropped and the day's over.
But what I also think is so cool about it too is it's almost like a 24-hour crit.
Yeah.
You constantly get to see your rider. It's very, in a way, spectator friendly because if you think about it, the loop's never really that large.
No, yeah,
yeah. So
ours was 14 miles. But yeah.
I mean, and that's.
Do you have a reader board? You don't have a reader board.
We do.
You do like what group said, blah blah blah. At this point,
we do.
Yeah,
that's
great.
It's not like right at the finish line. It's in a buth, a tent.
Okay.
Just right behind the finish line. Yeah.
For people on teams, they can keep track of who they need to catch.
Yep.
That's great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
As opposed to like on a Grand Fondo, a standard Grand Fondo, you're just going thinking, I don't know how many people.
In front of me?
Yeah. What age group?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll just go.
Yeah.
But when you have that helps.
Yeah. And part of me thinks that I don't want it to be all about money, but sometimes if you put some sort of not large, but a payout for example, the solos on this, that's where you start to get some of these higher draw names, and then the higher draw names, people watching, their fans watch it on YouTube, and then that becomes a thing.
Yeah.
The followers, that do that. So I don't know. It'd be fun to see it grow. How far we want to see it grow, I'm not sure, but
I think it's great though, because if you think about it, you've got food coming in constantly.
Yeah.
For not only the racers, but the people that want to pay, they can.
Yeah.
Which makes a great infield energy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel to a point where it's like, how do I get 15 miles down the road because there's 80 Wahoo tents right now? Not that that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But it feels very intimate, but it's also like, it feels higher scale big deal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I've heard of people saying, build a village, inner village with, like you say, with booths and tents and stuff
and
like that.
And you've kind of got that, I feel like.
Yeah, and, I don't know how much, I don't want to turn it into a shopping mall.
Yeah.
But, sometimes, we have this company with this shirt I'm wearing right now. They show up and make custom shirts on spot, and they made these logos, and stuff. It's not our race logo, but they make these things, and it was kind of cool.
Well, and I've started to notice the bigger races get and the more frequently it happens, it almost becomes like a spectacle or like a come and like shop a little bit.
Yeah.
Come and see what we've got in comparison to other things. And I feel like little, you tap into little niches, custom T-shirts, food trucks coming. I feel like that also doesn't just draw the racers, but it also draws their families to come too.
We used to just, I got to give Eric credit for that. We used to just have food for the racers. It was dinner for the racers, midnight potato bar for the racers, pancake breakfast in the morning for the racers, post race. But now Eric's idea was to say, hey, let's just get some food trucks out here, and in the option for the racers, we have 3 food trucks out here. They have a coupon in their race registration. So they walk up to whatever truck they want. They eat whatever they want. Tacos, pizza, teriyaki, I think we have. Yeah. And that's covered. And then if mom and dad are there watching the race or, some friends and family should drop by, they can go and get stuff too. So it was, it's cool. And it created that village feel too. So I enjoyed it. And again, like I say, we'd love notes. We'd love to know how to make it a bigger, more successful thing. So it's good. Looking ahead, we locally have a weekend of proper road racing. I think I mentioned it at the top of the show. We have the River City Cycling Classic. Our friends, it's Lilac Pursuit. Lilac Pursuit are putting it on. Time trial road racing crit, just like the old days. I really wish I could ask Paul which ones he's doing.
All of them.
Oh,
no.
Nope,
I can't.
Nope, none.
No,
yeah.
Are you registered for all of them?
Yes, I'm registered.
Good
for
man.
all.
Oh,
Good
shit,
man.
fuck.
I'm not going to ask for my money back, but I will reach out to John Stoker and see if I can do some volunteering on at least Saturday.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I know something you can do on Sunday if you want. Still.
Yeah, I suppose I better go out there since I committed. No one wants to hear me on the mic.
Sure we do. We listen to you every week.
It's different when
you know what you should do is turn
and this is what we got prime. How do you say that? Prime?
You should change it and turn it just into a Paul Main thing where you're like, and here they come. Fifth guy has rim brakes. Let's have a rim brake preem.
Have you ever told you the story about Chuck the Buck?
Yeah. First rim brake bike across the line. Beer preem.
Yeah. You ever heard of coon racing?
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Speaking of racing.
Yeah.
I went to a coon race. It's not what you think.
Now, that's what would make it hilarious. I would be like, I'm dropping out of the race just so I can hear this guy on the mic. Everybody has their own style. Thank God you're not going, it's on like Donkey Kong or anything like that. No offense to the guy who's been on this very show twice. Jackson, are you doing all 3?
I am.
You are. Time trial, road racing, crit.
Yep.
Okay. Which day are you looking forward to most?
Oh, man. I'm kind of looking forward to all of them. I'm just excited for the weekend. Yeah.
Oh, God, that's a positive outlook.
Yeah.
I'm only doing the road race. I wish I could do the crit. I would prefer to just do the crit than the road race, although I do need to get some serious miles in for the other events I've got on the calendar. But it's the course has been altered a little bit. Not necessarily altered. It sounds like the finish has been altered. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that kind of makes me a little happier because, a finish climb is always something that I've never really been overly fond of. So it could be kind of cool. How do you feel going into the, one of our locally biggest road weekend?
I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
I feel confident in myself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As of last check, I think the people at Lilac Pursuit were still looking for some volunteers. So, if anybody's got the ability to come out and do it and make it happen. So, I'm looking forward to that. Our RiverCityCyclingClassic.com, is that their website? I think even
so.
know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or just Facebook search them or something like that.
Yeah.
I apologize, guys, for not knowing your exact website. They're probably like, fuck, Pat.
I think it is exactly that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Well, if my volunteer job allows me to do on the feed, because it's supposed to be like 80 in the mid 80s by the time you guys are racing, so I'll be on the feed hill for you.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
It's rivercitycycling.org.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Paul, that's very good to know. I appreciate you telling me that right now.
So maybe I should say, John, I'll do anything in the morning, but when feed comes, I've got 2 groups I need to take care of. Yeah.
Well, just one, actually.
Hey.
Oh, you.
Fuck.
You forgot your own father.
He won't make it that far.
Son of a bitch.
He won't make it to the climb. He'll turn around at the bottom.
For some reason, I'm
one lap and done.
Yeah. Fuck it.
For some reason, I'm always just in the mindset of, we're all going together.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Good
buddy.
recovery.
Thanks, sport. Now I think about it, the denim shirts are kind of dumb. No, I'm kidding. Okay.
So there.
Yeah. Well, let's switch something because I know hopefully we're all up to speed on the Giro. There are no spoiler alerts, so let's talk about news within the professional peloton brought to us by Giro. Oh, shit. Speaking of which, your helmet is upstairs.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, we got a new helmet for Paul.
No, I'm starting to think that when I heard that crack,
I
thought it was my helmet, the outer shell.
It was your spine.
I didn't see a crack on that.
Oh,
yeah, it might have been a couple of ribs.
Jesus.
So, but actually, that helmet, I was telling my wife about like MIPS.
Yeah,
I'm kind of pushing like Giro. I've always had Giro. Love it. It fits my head perfectly. Some people it doesn't.
Yeah.
Those are like Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not saying you're
No,
Charlie Brown.
No, it's not.
I'm Charlie Brown.
Are you?
Yeah. Although Giro fits me great. The only thing I've ever struggled with helmets is sweat.
CP can't wear a Giro.
He can't. Well, his is long. His head is long.
He's probably listening, so go ahead and just keep smashing.
The guy's built like Bert. His head is built like Bert from Bert and Ernie. I'm more Ernie. He's more Bert.
Ernie. Yeah, Bert.
Hey, Bert. Hey, Bert. Hey, Bert.
What you doing, Bert? But yeah, it with the MIPS, the whole idea, I've hit my head many times.
Yeah.
That one was really hard, really, really hard. And the thing is, I learned from doctors and stuff, and I'll make this really brief.
No, you're fine.
It's that we used to have our styrofoam. I had a Pro Light when I hit my head when I was trying to help Roger at the Manitou Crit bridge up to a breakaway.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And I greased out, over a piece of plywood over a manhole cover. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
That one.
Yeah.
Off cambered, 30 miles an hour. and the thing exploded, but we just had styrofoam, and it did kind of soften the blow.
Yeah.
But your brain, even inside, especially mine, is like a pea inside this huge cavity.
Gigantic fishbowl.
Yeah. So when you hit something really abruptly, your brain does shift inside your head.
Yeah.
And that's where concussion, you start getting all this thing.
Yeah.
And so if you have that cage like the MIPS, and also the helmet that I had it has a rotation on it.
That's what that one is too. Yeah.
So you have this that's kind of moving a little bit, so you're not having that smash stop.
Yeah.
So does he have that one on the wall
He
over
does.
there? Nice.
It's the Aries.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about getting a new one as well.
Are you?
Thinking.
And this has become a Giro worship, but best fitting shoes I've ever had.
They're beautiful too.
I have the lace ups, and they are the best fitting shoe I've ever had.
Just made a new pair too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love them.
Me too.
They're so awesome. Let's talk about the Giro. Holy shit! What a day! If you were a bike racing fan today, Giro Stage 16. If you haven't caught up, we're about to spoiler the shit out of it. Talk to me, you guys, about what we've experienced up to this point. UAE actually showing signs of humanity. It's amazing how the wheels almost literally fell off the team that in today's stage. What are we experiencing? What are we going through here in terms of what you guys have seen and enjoyed about the race up to this point?
It's been crazy. It's been nice to see a race without pure domination. And I think that's what's been a little bit refreshing about this. The tour, we'll get to it eventually, but I'm worried about that one. But it's also nice to see new names. We're seeing very young names come out and produce something really cool. But I also like that in contrast to that, like Simon Yates. When was the last time we heard Simon Yates doing well?
Richard Carapaz.
Yeah, I love to see that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like we're seeing old and past come together and collide in such an exciting way.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we found out something that that's not surprising to us, but I know that you made a comment on a Facebook thing about Roglic crashing.
Yeah.
And somebody responded like, he doesn't crash that much.
Oh, buddy, you jinxed him.
I'm just saying, that guy cannot. For somebody who can fly hundreds of meters in the air and land on two skis, he can't keep a bike upright. It's one of those things you're like, what the hell? Yeah. So, I mean, I feel... because the guy's talented, and I think it's not all his fault. It's just
bad luck.
Yeah.
Is it okay? Wrong place, wrong time, all the time. Because
did he kill a black cat? Does he walk underneath ladders? What does he do? How do you get?
You go to a crossroads and make a deal with the devil.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, at least you could play the guitar.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I will say, watching him on that gravel stage take a corner, I was like, this guy is very. I mean, okay, he's a professional bike racer, so he has some above par bike handling standards. Yeah. But when I watched him on gravel, I was like, this guy is not prepared for this moment.
Really?
He looked like he was on ice when he was in there. It just that crash that he had, it just seemed very, because was it him that went down first on that gravel stage?
God, I can't even remember.
No, I don't think it was. Oh, it might have been. I think it was.
Yeah. Everybody else kept it up, and then it was just like, there he goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the one moment where I was like, I feel like there could have been more.
And then he backs it
skills.
up with a TT warm up and crashes.
Yeah.
And it was slippery, but still, nevertheless. And then he crashed again
Sunday,
and then today.
You begin to ask the question of the common denominator.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not. I mean, especially when you're looking at a lot of riders, Jay Vine, for example, coming from a Zwift background into this, where you've got these people who can produce massive power, but they don't necessarily have the cycling background. Mm-hmm. They haven't been a Matthew Van Der Poel, where they come from, mountain bike and cyclocross, and they can bounce a bike anywhere. Tom Pidcock, those kinds of things. I remember Remco Evenepoel being really sketch on a lot of technical stuff. If there's a wet downhill, Remco was grabbing the brakes.
Yeah. Well, and then you see a guy like Wout, who is plagued with what I would consider bad luck.
Yeah, it's not bike handling.
No, exactly.
He's made some mistakes, but not...
For sure.
Yeah.
But then... Yeah, because I feel like that was the situation of he didn't cause that, but then when a guy continues to crash and only sticks to one discipline, you really start to wonder. Is there like a... I don't know. Yeah, you really start to wonder.
Well, shifting gears on that, to me, like this, you mentioned being so close and everything. Mm-hmm. Del Toro was one that I picked. Somebody in our group, I don't know, I think you had Carapaz as like your opportunist. Somebody did.
Yeah, I don't know.
It might have been this idiot that's not here. Yeah. That guy. But Carapaz is...
One with a fat ass.
Yeah, it's like a horse's ass.
It's just a big ass.
Yeah, it's big. It's a bubble. It's like two balloons. Yeah. You blow them up to max.
What do they say? Two turtles fighting in a tight sack.
Yeah. So, anyway, the way he races is fun to watch because he races, and Matt Stevens said, like in the 80s.
Yeah.
The Colombians used to just randomly... Today, 6 kilometers out, he just punches and he goes. They're off to one side, and he takes
Carapaz.
Carapaz takes on the other side of the road and goes. And people are like, he's already got this gap, and then everybody's like, "You chase, no, you chase, no."
He's punchy,
and that's how he won the Giro because he had people watching like, "No, you chase him down."
Yeah,
and when he crosses the line, I don't think he has energy to even talk. He's done. He knows how to deplete himself. Yeah. But the best part, even though on today's stage, was, and I finally came to the conclusion, everybody's bashing Wout van Aert, and I'm a fanboy, but there isn't a more complete rider, I don't think. Somebody who can win classics or finish on the podium and produce like he does in stage races as a teammate and win stages.
Yeah, it's
amazing, and the strategy that Visma Lisa Bike had today was very reminiscent to when Jonas beat
Tadej.
Tadej, where he was up front on the lead group and he backed off. When Wout pulled that train up with Simon Yates on his wheel, they dropped Adam. They were dropping climbers. Yeah. And I think, I don't know if it was today, but he had his best 10-minute power output.
No shit.
518 watts.
Oh my god.
For 10 minutes.
That's crazy.
This guy's amazing. He's amazing.
And I mentioned too that I'm happy to not see the pure dominance
in
this tour.
Yeah.
But it also does really give us the opportunity to highlight other riders.
Yeah.
Like seeing Wout come back, and it's not Van der Poel was this, pure god of a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Or Pogacar's up there. I'm excited to see someone like Del Toro. I think Del Toro could be what we see as Tade in the
Dude's
future.
20.
Yeah.
21. He just turned 21.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been really it's been
No,
nice.
he's going to
This has
start
been a good
drinking,
one.
and it'll all go downhill from here.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
Yes,
Mexican.
gonna
He's
have
been drinking
Yeah,
since he was
this is
12.
true.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is true.
Yeah.
And what I'm loving is we are living in an era of these superhuman efforts, these absolutely incredible performance moments. And I ask you guys all the time, is it getting boring yet? Is it getting boring yet? And you guys, everybody seems to say no. Watching these incredible riders be able to do these massive efforts and ride away from the greatest riders in the world, number one should raise a shit for us, who've been watching the sport for decades. But to have a grand tour where my next question is going to be, who do we see having the most momentum taking this to the end? We have, Del Toro, Yates, and Carapaz all within 30 seconds of each other. And we have some other riders who could definitely provide some fun, animation in that. Is that the word I'm looking for? Animation? Anyway, Bugs Bunny. But I really like having a race where it's not, and the Tour has turned into this. The Tour de France has turned into, even in the, Voldemort years, even in the Chris Froome years and all those types of things, you had a pretty good idea rolling into it who was going to roll with this. And we many times have gone through, 7 or 8 days of the Tour de France and gone, okay, that's it. What's going to be exciting to watch?
Nowadays, it's just a 2-horse race.
Yeah. And to see this, and Giros have been done this way. We've had a lot of Giros that have turned into this, different random people, not random, but different people taking the victory. Mm-hmm. I'm loving it. Who do you guys see in Rome on that podium?
I think my heart says Richard Carapaz.
God, I would love that.
I have not
for EF and for him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing Casper Asgreen go off and win a stage, that was inspiring in and of itself.
His helmet sucked, but outside of that,
disgusting.
Yeah, I didn't see that stage. I was out at the
Pac arrow with the visor.
Yeah.
See, I adore the brand. I love them.
Yeah.
Please take it away.
Yeah.
Well, we love Pac and we love Giro, and Giro has that time trial helmet that we've all seen.
That's true. And they do they do.
We're not all perfect, I guess.
Yeah,
that's
I guess
the lesson to learn.
I guess so.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Yeah. But I think my heart says Carapaz because he's been racing with a brand new lease on life, it looks like, and nobody can catch him when he attacks.
Yeah.
I think Tom Pidcock the other day was he was on another level.
Really?
But I think my head is going to say Simon Yates.
Really? Okay.
He just seems like he's racing the smarter, safer race.
Long term.
It feels that way.
The toothpaste slowly squeezing. Today he was calculated about his gaps and making Del Toro.
Yeah.
I thought Del Toro was out of his seat a little bit more often than normal before things blew up.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun. I'm like, I don't think he's having a good day.
Yeah.
But if this was his bad day, because there's plenty of climbing up until Saturday.
This was the last finish
uphill.
Climb. Yeah,
but still,
you could blow the doors out.
Absolutely. Because if you blow somebody up, whatever the descent on the backside of a mountain, you don't rarely, unless you crash, are you going to make up major amount of time.
Yeah.
So this is going to be really interesting because if you go over the top with a 1 minute lead, you're gaining time.
Yeah.
They're not going to they caught him.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the way this race is set up. So, but I think just because Visma Lisa Bike has a team that's got things figured out. Not that UAE hasn't, but they certainly, I don't know, today was a bummer. They could not pull it off.
Do you just equate that to just flat out fatigue? It's just, because there was talk all last week about we're going to let the road decide. We're going to, in terms of who the team captain is and all this kind of stuff, and this confidence going into this, because you have no reason to doubt UAE because of what we see.
Look at the lineup.
Yeah.
Why would you?
Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, to see them just starting to pop, it's like, oh my God, what's going on? Is it just bravado and too much too early? Like you're saying, squeezing the toothpaste tube too early.
And I would love to see Del Toro win. That would be a really cool win, honestly. But I think the thing that worries me about him, and the reason why I can't make a solid prediction about him, is because we don't really know what he's capable of.
Yeah.
This is the first time he's been in this position, so it's an unknown.
It's a tough role to be thrust into.
Yeah, I'm excited for the guy though. This is like, to me, this feels like Tade in that Vuelta, first Vuelta.
I followed that kid when I saw him a couple of times when he first came up. I'm like, because he races like Central Americans and South Americans race, not really. It's out of heart.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. It's not calculated. It doesn't seem to be, and he races that way, and that's fun to watch. And I think I celebrated and I got involved with him like 2 years ago when he was 19. I think it was the Tour Down Under. That kid was just like, it was nonstop. Doesn't matter. Even if he was, I think there was one stage he was like 2 or 3 stages back. He attacked and he got caught, and people were like, oh, he attacked too early. That's racing.
Yeah.
He rolled the dice.
Yeah.
You don't know your limits until you find those limits.
Yeah.
And then you learn to push beyond that. So I'd like to see, just for the standpoint, I think he interviews well. He seems to be level-headed.
Yeah.
I think for the nation of Mexico, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Not since Raul Alcala have we seen.
Well, there was another guy who did really well, and it slips my mind. There was another guy after, Raul. But I think Yates, though, has a team and the knowledge and the way he raced. It's calculated, and he lost his chance to win the Giro on the last week. So I think he was kind of like holding back on the reins a little bit.
Remember.
That toothpaste, just roll that out slowly.
To bring back an old quote of mine, a Yates, though. Yates
Yeah.
always blows it.
Oh, well, we'll have to see if your prognostications are truly what they
I
are.
guess so.
But the podium, I would say the top 3 will be top 3, but what order? I'd like to see Carapaz because I like his style.
Too. Yeah.
And
cool.
I wouldn't be disappointed in either of the other 2 guys, Simon Yates or Del Toro.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Unless somebody has a horrible day between now and then.
Yeah. I don't want any crashes. I don't want
No.
Crashes should be done now.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
We've had
Hopefully
enough.
the weather will tease up and get a little better.
Northern Italy in May. Yeah, that'll
Yeah.
I keep thinking, I remember the Andy Hampson year.
Yeah.
That was
snow
was
on his
Giro.
eyebrows.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of along the same vein, I have a topic thing that kind of lend its name to Giro. So, because I want to talk about the recent online mutterings, and I you guys don't know this is coming. This is something I was going to talk about last show, and I want to kind of bring it up on this one, and I hope it doesn't interfere with. I always seem to fuck over your Paul. Your
I'll
segments.
tell you right off.
A video recent by Chris Froome talking about the banning of time trial specific bikes in bike racing, and I kind of want to touch base on that. We all know that they're expensive. We know they can be kind of squirrel. We know that if you want to win against the clock and don't have one, you're pretty much screwed. So talk to me about all this. To just start with time trial equipment, TT, aerodynamic based equipment that is specialty, not Jackson, your road frame has aerodynamic properties to it, but a specific bike for these purposes. Paul, I think you're the only one in the bar here who has a TT specific setup.
I think in the whole team.
I think Sam has one.
does.
That's right. He does.
When was the last time you rode it?
Was the Missoula TT.
Okay. So 3 years ago, 2 years ago? 2 years ago.
Yeah,
No. RC3 last year.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. Jackson, you have nothing of the sort.
No.
Do you have, you don't even have clip-on bars, do you?
No. It's just so unrealistic. It's stupid.
Yeah.
For me to buy one, a brand new one.
Paul, for somebody who has one, how would you describe the feel of that bike in comparison to your old trusty steed?
I don't like it. I don't. It's not a position that I'm really enjoy being on. The reason, coming from my age, the old cow horn, the 26-inch front and stuff, to us it was glamorous and it was cool, and they were faster than a standard road bike because that's what I wanted. I always wanted a TT bike from when I first got into it. When funny bikes they used to call them. Yeah. And so I kept pushing, and I knew realistically that is just like me being gluttonous and saying, I gotta have it.
Yeah.
And just a waffle mole.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
It's wafer thin.
Waffle thin.
Fuck off, I'm full.
Fuck off, I'm absolutely stuffed. So
Jackson doesn't know that reference. No. He's looking at us like, what?
The Meaning of Life.
Yep.
Monty Python.
Okay.
So the opportunity came to me because my wife wanted a new dog, which we have. And then we struck a deal that if you get a new dog, I get a TT bike. And that's how I got it. And I was pretty excited. And that was 2000. Well, it was 14 we got him. So my bike is actually a 2012 Giant Trinity.
Okay.
And I used it. It was a friend of mine I bought it from. He was in triathlons and he did road racing and stuff. And I used it for a team triathlon thing. And I thought, man, these things are fast because it forces you in that position.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I got a disc and I got everything set up. But since I've had it since 2014, I think I've probably actually used it in a race 5 times.
Yeah, yeah. That's where we're starting.
And that bike is like archaic compared to what the bikes are now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not chasing that.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
Do you guys think it's fair to race against people with these bikes just by adding bars and maybe some aero wheels?
No.
It's not fair.
No.
Absolutely not. Okay. What are your thoughts on banning them in amateur racing?
Agree.
I'm cool with it.
Yep.
You guys are?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Merch style.
Sure there's somebody.
Merch style is, why not? We're amateurs.
I'm sure there's somebody right now who's about to throw their phone, out of their car or something like that because they're firm believers in this kind of stuff. But we know triathlon isn't likely going to be getting rid of them soon. And I don't think triathlon's ever going to ban the concept because many people who get into triathlon, that is their bike.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect them to.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's their only bike.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And it's not even UCI. Most of those aren't even UCI approved.
What do you guys think should be the limit when it comes to aerodynamic advantages? Hence, we're saying ban the bikes. What should be, okay, this yes, this no, this draws the line. It's hard. I think of gravel racing and I see the bars, that people are using for gravel racing. I'm not a fan. And I understand that it is an aerodynamic advantage, but I think in a lot of cases it's just a comfort position advantage. But I don't think they should be allowed in that. Disc wheels, do we say that you can throw a disc wheel onto your road frame and do a Merckx TT? No.
I think it has to be your true road frame to be able to commit
But you
to
can
something
throw a
like
disc
that.
wheel on a true road frame.
You can, but then I feel like that
They're illegal on the road. You cannot use a disc wheel on the road.
Oh, okay. So mass start legal equipment only.
That's what I...
There we go. Yeah.
Sorry,
That would
it took
be
me a while to come to that.
No. I was going to say that's what I think too, yeah.
So, I mean, even on the helmets, when you look at Visma, Lisa bike in there, they take the old Giro TT helmet that had the wraparound. You can't use that visor for whatever reason, but I don't know how Pac gets away with that Aero helmet.
I honestly don't either.
But nevertheless, it's just not just the looks. It's like, well, I don't know.
No,
to me, it's like if you're gonna, in fact, a lot of amateur races are doing that. The Merckx style, you have to use the wheels that you normally would use, and I think UCI is you can't go bigger than, 6 centimeter deep rims.
Yeah.
So you can't exceed that. So you can't exceed that. That's what you'd use on the road. It's road legal.
Yeah.
Helmets wise, when you have like a protuberance sticking out, it's a fairing. If you look at the new Giro helmets,
absolutely,
that's all it is. It's not. The helmet should be for physical protection. So if some mountain biker cuts in front of you and takes you down, it saves you from
you only
splitting
have
your head open.
Bad back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
would it make a difference if TT bikes were, quote, more affordable, end quote?
No.
It's
still like the term more affordable is not real. I feel like it won't be really that affordable.
It's relative.
Yeah, it's very relative. That's what I was going to use. Thank you. Yeah. Because for certain individuals, younger individuals, it's not ever going to be more affordable.
Yeah.
Because, take it down from 20,000 to it's like
12,000.
12,000.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
still
That's
like
still
ridiculous.
Yeah. It makes me, think about the fact that even at the pro level, I mean, the highest teams in the world, UCI Pro Tour teams, there are teams who are spending so much more money on aerodynamic research and things like that than some of these, even still World Tour teams, maybe continental level teams, that there is an advantage.
Yeah.
I remember reading articles, even at the continental level, like, Phil Guyman, talking about the fact that he went to a race and their time trial equipment was so bad that he bought his own bike and had to, erase the stickers on it and ride a different set of wheels in order to gain that advantage. And there are sponsors out there who don't want you even on a bike with their logos on it, but it's still not that. I don't think you can do that anymore at this level, at the Pro Tour level. So, there is definitely an advantage. Those Giro helmets that look goofy, they've got to have an advantage. Mm-hmm. Yeah, wind tunnel.
Well, it hasn't really proven too much.
Yeah.
And on Escape Collective, if you're a member, there's performance process, which is done by Rowan McLaughlin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he has this guy who's an aerodynamic guy, and he's talking about helmets. What works for you, Pat, and what works for me for aerodynamics, the helmet, is completely different. Mm-hmm. It's how you ride, your position that you're in, whether a long tail, if you can stay low and stuff like that,
crunch your
then
neck down.
It's fine. That's better. Mm-hmm. But if you dip your head down, it goes backwards. Yeah. And there's people that just have different riding styles. So different helmets, affect different people and improve or disapprove. So, I think, talking about this whole thing, we're losing the focus on the human spirit behind cycling.
Okay.
When you start getting somebody who, on the road, you can slaughter all the time, but because he has the best TT bike and he's able to add, 30 seconds to you
per mile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever on because he's got a TT bike and he's got the helmet. He's been dialed in, probably deeper pockets to get there.
Yeah.
Doesn't promote the sport. And we have road cycling is always known as, they're afraid to advance. Like even disc brakes, like every sport, every discipline has it and stuff. Is it really necessary? In my opinion, my argument is not really. In the rain with carbon rims, yes, it is necessary. But outside of that, there really isn't an advantage. But, same with all these like skin suits. If you want to make them aerodynamics, that's fine. That's part of what you have to wear. That is part of our uniform. Mm-hmm. When you start adding things on, like, a big horn in the front, or you're doing like socks that are basically might as well have leg warmers on. Yeah. We're getting crazy. Yeah. And it costs $1,000 for socks to get aero. That doesn't promote the sport.
Well, that's a genuine worry for me. In this upcoming weekend, I have, ambitions to do somewhat well, or at least for one of us here to do somewhat well. And then to think about the fact that I could be riding at a brand new personal best, but then somebody's doing half the power and just on a really nice bike in a really good position, just zooms by me. It's like, it's so disappointing, because then it really makes you wonder, like, what did I come here for? Did I come here to be beaten by people that spend a lot of money, or did I train all that time to actually like see the product out of it? Yeah, it feels pointless after a little while.
For amateur, it doesn't make sense for TTs to be, aerodynamic, aero bikes and that type of thing. I don't think it's a positive thing.
So how high up should this band go? Do we all agree?
I would say if you're a Pro 1-2 race, I think that's the cutoff.
Allow it.
If you have pros involved, then yeah. And unfortunately, there's a lot of twos that can't afford it, but that's part of the game.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with you on a lot of senses, especially amateur racing. It has become futile, especially when you're going to a race weekend and okay, I'm going to take 2 bikes, and 4 sets of wheels because there's an 8-kilometer time trial on the first day.
Yeah, I mean, there's another topic.
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, there's another topic of conversation right there. Wheels.
Yeah.
It's not cheap to have 2 pairs of wheels.
No.
And then the people that do can get in my situation when we were in Tour de Bloom, could have gotten a wheel change like that, would have been back in.
Yeah.
But I can't.
You didn't have a set of wheels in
I
the
can't buy another pair of carbon disc brake wheels. It's just,
that's
the situation.
That's what terrifies me about buying a new bike. I have 4 sets of wheels for my rim brake bike. 4.
I have 5.
Yeah. And if I go and if I buy a new bike, they're gone. They're useless. They're fucking paperweights.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to buy them from me. Nobody's going to be like, shit, rim
Well,
brakes,
I'll
I'll take them. Yeah, exactly. You'll fill up your apartment even more.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where you just get into this, do I want to start over at ground? I'm going to have to.
Yeah, we all do.
But I don't want to.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at the price of I don't need, $5,000 wheels, but I also don't want $500 wheels.
Well, and that's the issue because
if you have 2, like decent, you're going to be at $5,000 anyway.
Exactly.
For 2.
Yeah.
$5,000.
And that's the thing. It's like I always talk like, oh, it's so expensive. I want to make very clear, like I'm not out here like very much struggling to get to place to place to place. Like I make it sound that way.
But you're a realistic human living on a realistic budget.
Yeah, and you're very right about the fact that like I don't want to buy $400 wheels.
Yeah.
Because you do get what you pay for in situations like this.
Yeah.
Like you do want to buy something that's nice, that's going to actually like be able to support you safely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just tough.
Well, the advantage of today with the wheel sets that you have, when I would have custom wheels and with aluminum rims, and they work good, decent when you really had a good brake setup. It wasn't that dangerous as it is now. With carbon wheels, some of those are not good with rim brakes.
Yeah.
But I have never knocked a carbon wheel set out of true.
This is true. I remember
never.
MA40s.
That was a constant thing. I learned to build wheels.
Constantly throwing them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I bought a Truey stand. I had everything because that was a common occurrence. And that's what 32 spoke, or 36 in the back, 32 front for training wheels. Yeah. 3 cross. These things are bomb proof. Some people tied and soldered just to keep that from happening. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. And we used to flat constantly. The rubber compound is such a plus nowadays. Yeah. And as much as I bash tubeless, I saw a guy. He didn't make the cut because he had such low air pressure.
Oh,
but, he flatted out. He didn't have, but he still had air to kind of ride as much as he could.
He could still get home.
There is some advantages to where we're at right now, and I know I'm the curmudgeon, but still, nevertheless, it is freaking expensive.
Yeah,
it is expensive.
I know. I've even been thinking about tubeless lately too.
Really?
For the
Give
road.
it a try.
Yeah,
I mean, if you want to, the faffing is what I.
Yeah, I mean, when I was struggling so hard just getting that one rear tire on.
Oh God, Paul I just handed him my glass to get my refill, and Paul, we just saw the life drain out of him. It was like a year of his life came out of his body. It's just like, oh God.
Yeah.
You were saying, please.
Oh yeah, but I've been thinking about it.
Fuck him. Let's continue.
When I got that pinch flat, it was like, oh,
yeah.
What could have been, if I did have a different type of setup. And even Sam has this nigh on the same wheels that I do, and he has tubeless, and he never worries about it. It's just
Sam's running tubeless. All these years, he's never told us.
Well, he is now.
Was you on that ride when he flatted? I mean, he started spewing out all that stuff.
No.
Remember that?
Was
it was. Yeah, we were coming off of. Maybe you guys weren't there. It was just David and Sam and I, and he was riding. I think there's the sense of security sense of security when you're on that, and he was riding into shit that I would never ride in. All of a sudden, we're coming into town, and that's white crap was going all over the place. Yeah. But he ended up adding another 30 miles, but he had probably 30 pounds of pressure, but still.
Shit. But you still get it home.
Yeah, he got home and added miles that I didn't do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you had, a tube, a standard clincher. The technology I'm interested in is the TPU tube. because
Yeah.
now you're looking at pros that are like, because when those tubeless do go flat and you go around a corner and you burp and it rolls off,
Shit's crazy.
The three of us have seen what's happening.
We haven't we?
Yeah.
Well, I got a light. Sorry, we're getting into the weeds a little bit.
We are.
I got lightweight tubes from Continental, and I'm really interested to see what that's like. Part of me's tempted to do that.
Don't.
There's a certain position.
Yeah.
But part of me's tempted to do that for the weekend. The lightweight tubes.
Yeah.
Takes
that's what he's talking about.
Shades a couple grams off, but I don't know.
No, TPUs are different than
Oh,
lightweight.
Are those ones the orange ones?
Clear.
Clear.
They kind of
Yeah,
a clear look.
How are they in terms of puncture resistance?
They're tougher.
Okay.
The TPUs are. They're $30 a tube.
Yeah. Well,
it's tough.
Geez, cycling.
But
is
they're
expensive.
lighter. They're the latex. Like a lot of them were trying to run latex for a while.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take much to make latex let out. Yeah, I mean you can lose, especially the pros will lose like several pounds of pressure through a race on latex tubes.
I used to run latex tubes back in the late 80s.
On the tubulars?
Early 90s. No,
On
clinchers. Yeah, I would train on clinchers.
Yeah, and you ran latex on your
My
training wheels?
My dad got into this whole thing on latex tubes, so he bought some and we put them in there, and they wouldn't last 3 training rides.
No.
They just
and you can't repair them.
No, you just toss them.
Yeah,
and it was just dumb.
And they're expensive.
Yeah. Okay, so I think our and my last question about the TT bikes, in your opinion, are they truly safe?
No.
I would say that it's in comparison to an inexperienced e-bike rider going 30 miles down a walking trail. Unless you know how to do it, you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not. We have fine examples of Egan Bernal and Froome, and these guys were on training rides where, Bernal he had his head down, but like a big wind or if you ride, and that's some of the reason they got rid of the puppy paws or hanging, because if you hit something, you have no control.
Yeah.
And that's basically you're steering with your elbows, and it is if you hit something, you're going to go down, and that's why you get pissed off in a group ride when somebody has arrow bars and they're in the middle of the pack and arrow bars because you cannot react. There's no brakes. There's no, it's not a safe bicycle.
All right, there we go. Stop banned. So
Amateur.
far, 3 out of 5 because the other 2 guys aren't here. Banned time trial bikes in mass start. Okay,
they're fun to ride, but not safe.
No,
and they're dumb.
And I have a funny bike. Like tiny front wheel, standard size rear wheel.
Yeah.
And I've ridden it a couple times, and it is sketch as hell. It is so bad. All right, you guys, let's get to our segments for tonight. That's the news segment. God damn it. That's the one I want. Thanks to you, our listener. That's right. The Patreon page is up on the homepage. Thanks to many of you who are not only able to keep the lights on, but beer flowing through the conversation. If you would like to help, be sure to check out that Patreon where member perks are starting to take effect. We're down to 2 segments tonight. 2 segments, boys and girls. I know, right? Yeah. So you guys better make it good.
All right.
Okay. We're talking about Changing Times with Paul Main, and that didn't play. Now it's playing now. This one is called Soul Sucking, and I'm glad we didn't cover it in the show.
Yeah.
And so hopefully we can see what soul sucking's all about.
Well, this started. Well, there were several events in the last week that made me started thinking about this, and one was at Roglic. We kind of talked about his crashing, and then Mathieu van der Poel.
Oh yeah.
Broken wrist, right?
Yeah. Scaphoid, and it may be some ligament damage and stuff like that. And then my little incident came into, and for Changing Times, when I was younger and did some big crashes and stuff, I bounced right back up. So this accident, I'm thinking, I had a lot of time to think because I'm not riding, and it kind of broke my spirit a little bit. It really did. Man. Not for me to race, but it's like I just can't. I could feel things coming along after Bloom, where I went out. We did that ride with Roque and Michael from Belize, and I was towing them along, and I know when I start getting to that point for me all these years, these little power climbs where I can keep the speed
oh my God,
and stay
so
seated
cool
and they're over
those.
the top.
Yeah.
And I was hitting that, and I'm like, RC3. I can't wait. I was getting goosebumps thinking about it. I'm getting there. And then this crash happens.
Yeah.
And it just like took the complete wind out of my soul. And so Jack actually said, text me after he listened to our show like he usually does, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, he said, how you getting along? How are you feeling? And I looked at, that was the first time I looked in. I was defeated. I have to say I was very defeated. Mm-hmm. And I started thinking the only other time that, of all the times that I crashed, and I've crashed a lot, that I've hit this level was I got back into racing in 2003 again. In 2004, I was on this huge ramp. I was accelerating fast. And I was riding in this group, and there was a horse that got out, and there was probably about 25, 30 of us. And I could hear people talking. Everybody's going, whoa, 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 because this horse is in the middle of the road, and the owners are trying to gather it. Yeah. And I looked over my shoulder and I said, heads up, guys. And as soon as I turned around, I went over the top. And that's where I broke my collarbone. Oh. And I've had my separated AC joint on my collarbone. That's why my collarbone sits on top of my shoulder. And I felt this way I feel now. It was like, it was soul sucking.
Yeah.
And to me, it was one of those things that I'm an amateur. It's not that big of a deal. But what I think we need to give credit to people like Wout van Aert, who was so focused last year for Flanders and Roubaix, and he had that crash in Doors van Vlaanderen. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm thinking my soul sucking had to be way less compared to what he did, because he had so much involved in there. He gets back and he's got the leading sprinter's jersey in the Vuelta. Mm-hmm. And he totally F's up his knee to the point where he was on crutches. Do you know he was on crutches and stuff?
No.
He was on crutches, and his wife, actually, he got a ticket because he was with, he saw that. Yeah. His wife filled him because he was able not to use his crutches. And he threw it away in the wastebasket, and it could have been recycled, so he got a $100 fine.
Yeah. Oh, even though he took it out afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, my God.
But these guys go through way worse. And then Van der Poel's crash, because you think about all we hear. I mean, he's the best bicycle handler I've seen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And his mountain bike crash, he crashed twice in that race in 3 laps.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking the year before that, in Tokyo, he screwed up.
Yeah.
And then also the last one, where was that at? Where he missed the drop. Was that Tokyo?
That was Tokyo.
Yeah, that was Tokyo.
Yeah, Tokyo. Yeah, and there's like a World Cup or something that he just like totally blows. That, I'm thinking, if soul sucking, that is soul sucking.
Yeah, you got to stop on the mountain bike.
Yeah.
At you.
You know what?
Yeah.
As good as he, I mean, he's probably the best bike handler in that group. But all it takes is just, it's a different animal. It is.
It is.
I'm going to kind of partially disagree with you, man, in a certain realm, because you're saying how it can be more soul-sucking for them. I guarantee you that if a stranger came into this room and asked us to describe ourselves, within the top 5 words, you would say cyclist. You, Paul Main, would say cyclist.
I try to avoid that because that's just a passion. I never try to use that as, I don't have cycling anything. I don't have bumper stickers. I don't have anything.
But it is a defining characteristic of who you are.
It is truly my passion, without a doubt.
And so too, I went through the same thing a couple years ago when I thought this AFib was that's it. I'm not going to be able to be a bike rider anymore. Not a racer, a bike rider anymore. And that is a true piece of the pie that makes up our graph of who we are, depending on severity and size and stuff like that. Sorry to talk about size, but to have that overnight taken away from you is brutal. And I know that, people like Mathieu van der Poel, people like Remco Evenepoel, people like Egan Bernal who've had these crashes and it's taken them away from them. Yes, it's their livelihood. But I also think that what you're going through right now is personally a commitment and a devastation that is on the same plane. for in terms of you, in terms of your life commitment, and it fucking sucks, and I don't know where I'm going with this, but I don't want, for you to just say, I'm just an old bike racer, but it's such a part of who we are, and to have that taken away,
I can't argue
even
that,
if only temporarily, sucks.
And my motto is my mantra actually. So there's always next year.
Yeah.
But it's just one of these things like, wow, it was unfair that I got sick right before Bloom, and it was the first time that I'm not contributing. I've never in my life sat in a pack and just that is all I can contribute, and it had nothing. I had no bearing on any of those races. Yeah. But strangely enough, sometimes that's all it takes, because I ended up being third overall because, it's just one of those things. But that's bike racing. That's great. So that trajectory, the thing is learning to deal. For me, it's dealing with losing that wind that's taken out of your spirit and everything is bringing it back and finding that. And I know it's tough for these guys because they have media going, maybe you shouldn't do mountain biking, Matthew. And it's like, that's what I want to do. I want to be, people are telling you, I don't have those pressures. Yeah. But for me, it's like at 62, that's what I look forward to year after year after year. And this year's pretty much screwed. Hopefully, EPO. Yeah. I mean, that's my focus is like, my wife says, go see your doctor, go to PT, get this thing handled with. Yeah. And it's like, that's what I need to do, because that's where I want to reign. I was just finish on a high note. Yeah. Yeah. And make this year behind me. Okay. Because there's always next year.
Yeah. Thank you. He turned it upside down. He turned that frown upside down. Thank God for that one. Okay, man. Well, I know the listeners are all thinking the same thing, man. We're all here for you. We're all cheering for you. Now, let's change subject before Paul cries again. Style points with Jackson Bulger. No, not style points. The cool down with Jackson Bulger. My button says style points still. It's a cool down. What you got for us, man?
So with this week coming up, I guess with this weekend coming up, I've been thinking about a lot. I've been thinking a lot about what the run into that's going to look like. This week we do have our first Thursday night Worlds or TNT. But
shit,
sorry,
rub it in,
not rub it
in. Too soon.
But I've been thinking about it, and I was like, I don't know if this week is the week for me to do it.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
If I want to save myself, I know that in a race scenario or in a competitive scenario, holding myself back is really difficult. So I honestly think like maybe I need to just, taper. And that is the word that I wanted to focus on was, do you guys taper? Because I do. Or I do specific primers or openers before a race. Sure. I'm very focused on that stuff because I think it does prepare me personally. It prepares me well for what's to come. Do you taper, though, before a race, or does that just not really matter to you? Paul, what about you?
Yeah,
I probably the best, and Jack and I were talking about this, Jack Broadhead.
Really?
Who got, 30 on the single?
He did well in his solo efforts.
He was right behind Roger Drake.
Yeah, he was. Drake. Yeah. Oh, wow.
But
he didn't ride for 20 hours straight, though, and I don't owe him dick for whiskey. So I just want that to be in there, too. But sorry.
He made a smart move.
Yeah.
But, for him, we were talking about that, is like, and maybe, and I mentioned in my segment, is racing is our focus. Is I liked it better when I did more racing and less training.
Yeah.
And I was always on top. You could see yourself going up and down on races, just because of the natural flow of things. But training, and I'm not probably the best person to ask, but training to me, I've always held back a little bit, and probably not enough to push me to what I needed for a race. If I'm racing, that competitive edge for me was only improved the next time, because I'm one of those people that I assess every race, and I look back and I'm like, okay, I've learned something, although physically maybe it might be damaging, but mentally, this strategy and stuff.
Yeah.
I've added on to that. So that's how I approach it. I if I could race 5 days a week, I would race 5 days a week.
Yeah. And see, I think that's what's so interesting now about the calendar that we have is I'm finding myself racing, yes, on the days that we have the opportunities to, but I have had to be very specific about the training that I am doing if I want to produce the results that I want.
Sure.
It's been a very calculated process this year.
Yeah.
But do you?
It depends on the event. It depends on what my objective is. For example, this week I am racing mountain bikes tomorrow night because I need to wake up my system. I need to, cough this shit out.
And
I need to, do that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so I'm going to do that to blow the tank open.
And I feel like Wednesday's a good day for that.
Yeah.
It's far enough out.
Yeah. Thursday, in fact, when you mentioned that it was our first, Thursday night Worlds here in town, I was thinking, wow, maybe I should go out and do that. But I wouldn't be racing Friday. You're racing the next day. That time trial.
I race on Saturday.
Oh, so time trial's on Saturday. Okay. I don't know if I would. So what I'm going to probably do on Thursday is just go out and do my local loop and just kind of do some jumps.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So that is a taper. Yes. Yeah. For some of my longer events, the BWR for Breck Epic and stuff like that. I'm gonna just stay active, but probably the day before each race at the most I'll go out and do an hour. Just you gotta keep the matches.
Yeah, and that's such an interesting part of this conversation too that I don't think about.
Yeah.
Is what do you do for those long range events? Do you taper or do openers or what the hell do you do? I don't know.
Mine would be just to keep the body moving, not to take too many days off, but keep the body moving. Yes, we're going to be traveling to a lot of these things. So when you're in travel days, my wife and I are going to, for Breck Epic, we're going to RV our way down there.
Right.
And so we're putting into the itinerary, sure, we're going to drive, a full day, but I want to be able to get to someplace where I can at least just kind of go out and spin the legs and keep the body moving.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, I'm not going to gain any fitness, but I don't want to lose any, from stagnation.
Yeah, that's a good point. For me, I knew where my wheelhouse was.
Right.
Yeah.
So crits and shorter road races is where, we had there for a while too. Weekday races. So we had Tuesday and Thursday night races.
Yeah.
Wednesday, actually. Tuesday, Wednesday. And then, we'd have a stage race. If it was a stage race that the road race had a lot of climbing, my focus was on the crit, and that's, I think crits 1 hour, 2 hour efforts, there isn't really tapering. And the speed week that's been going on, I don't know if you guys been watching that.
Yeah.
So, and Will Hardin,
I know, yeah.
He's been in the mix of it, and it's kind of fun to follow him because I'm on his channel and stuff, or subscribe to his channel. But those guys, I'm like, God, they're doing, their heart rate is like pegged for an hour to an hour and a half maximum
for 7 days.
Yeah. And it's just one after. It's like stupid week or super week.
Yeah,
stupid week.
Yeah. That's what we always called it, was stupid week.
Yeah, and that's different. But if you're into Grand Fondos, and I think tapering is a huge.
Yeah.
I think once you start getting endurance, that is important.
Yeah, you got to build that fuel tank too.
Yeah. And I also think that we're talking about training, and I think that it's like aero helmets or time trial helmets. It's so specific to the person.
Yeah.
So interesting conversation.
Absolutely. No, cool. All right, you guys. That takes us to our final K, the final question, and we're gonna have to reveal something about ourselves here.
Oh no.
Okay. First and foremost, thank you everybody for being a part of the show. Oh God,
I thought
he's dropping trowel. Yeah, you're gonna do the remainder of the show in the naked room.
Yeah. Well,
I got a case of baby oil right here.
Diddy.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for being a part of the show. Like and subscribe to our show and to the YouTube channel. Please do it on the YouTube channel. It helps us with those types of things. Subscribers means they throw us a few shekels and stuff like that. So, gentlemen, what is something you were into in your youth that you kind of cringe over today? Like you're like, oh shit, that was bad. I could go first. For example, in college, I wore the weightlifter pants, the puffy pants,
MC Hammer pants.
Yeah, they were puffy, and I wore them, and I wore them actually with a pair of slip-on aqua socks. Yeah.
Sweet.
I'm Pat Bulger, and I just confessed to that.
Man, that's a tough one because I fully commit to every single style choice that I ever made.
You are
I don't
firm believer.
I don't regret any of it. I don't know. Maybe soccer.
Soccer.
Yeah.
Paul?
I would have to say, growing up in the bi-level now mullets,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I didn't have like the
Bi-level.
massive
Yeah.
cut and the curtain in the back, but I did have a bi-level that was hanging pretty low.
Did you really?
Oh yeah.
You're reaching behind your back. That wasn't
Yeah,
how low
it was
went.
down. No, it was.
Oh,
like,
small of your back?
Yeah, right. Like,
Wow.
yeah.
We're going to need photo proof for that one.
I'll get you one.
There we go.
Sweet.
Thanks, you guys, for being here.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to Danielle Waples.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Oh, yeah, happy birthday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so David's doing a good husband, and
Yeah.
fuck Sam.
There we go.
As usual.
There we go.
Yeah.
See you guys.